Be honest. Have you missed me, John?
I'm sorry. Who you are? Who are you?
You missed doing the show, but have you missed me?
No, I haven't missed you one bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. That tracks.
Well, listen, I try to send you texts and you get back to me 4 days later. You know?
I'm on holiday, as they say in the UK.
No,
I'm on holiday.
This is hockey. Hockey never stops. Hockey never stops.
I'm looking forward to getting back into the rhythm.
I can't imagine you without your phone. I mean, what do you leave your phone at home and go out?
I do.
And
I just totally shut it down.
How does Jen tell you to get milk?
Usually I'm with her. So she looks over to me and says, "Hey, we need milk." Or whatever else we need. And there's usually a list.
I find that hard to believe.
I think you were ignoring me. The other day they went shopping, did a big grocery shop. They sent me to Canadian Tire so I wouldn't hover around and bother them. So I walked around Canadian Tire and they did their shop, and it was blissful on both parts.
Well, of course it was blissful for them. And I mean, at Canadian Tire, you bought like 6 things that you didn't really need.
I just love the smell. I walk in, the aroma of Canadian Tire. On the subject of shopping, by the way, the whole offer sheets have happened and have been settled. A couple of them, the most predominant one involving the Philadelphia Flyers and Leo Carlsson. Did it play out the way you thought it would?
No, I was in the minority. I actually thought Anaheim wouldn't match, simply because I think they have other business that they have to get done. And the question will become is how much does Leo Carlsson's salary throw their plan out of whack? You know, the Cutter Gauthier does his number change now after Carlsson received an average of $18 million a year? So I do think that, and does this not allow them to go out and somehow, some way improve their defense that walked out the front door?
Yeah.
When you think of
they lost half their blue line.
Yeah. No more Trouba, no more Gudas, and no more Carlsson. So when you look at what Anaheim did, you say, okay, we understand why Pat would say we always thought we would match. That's fine. Money's not an issue for the Ducks. It's not. I wonder if the guys at Comcast and the Flyers thought that, oh, we have so much money, we can do this, and they won't be able to, particularly the way the salary was going to be paid out. But, you know, have you checked the Broadcom stock recently? I mean, Mr. Samueli's doing just fine. And so from that perspective, money was not going to be any part of the issue. But how does it affect
Anaheim's competitiveness and being able to put together a rod? They're going to have to move somebody out.
Well, they are, and whether that's Alex Killorn or Chris Kreider, they've already moved Mason McTavish. So from that perspective, this is a team that from the second half of the season you may not recognize. But at the same time, I do wonder that if, you know, the departures of the 3 veteran players, was that more because Joel Quenneville wanted to go in a different direction and Pat Verbeek wanted to deliver for him, or there was an opportunity to go younger on the blue line? Because those 3 veteran guys do change the personality of a team. It's how close do the Ducks think they really are to being a Western Conference leader? You know, they want to play
further away today.
Well, I would suggest they are, but I think if you dig deeper, I think people within the organization and I think people in and around the club would say our defense wasn't that good with those veteran guys, and it wasn't. They had issues. the McTavish deal was inevitable because, Joel wasn't even playing Mason at times in the playoffs. So the challenge becomes, without veterans, how do you fix the defense? And this puts a ton more pressure on a guy like Gauthier, a ton more pressure on a guy like Beckett Seneca, who are not very old and are going to be expected to take leadership roles.
Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll get into some other hot button topics. Jason Robertson still not signed and remains with the Dallas Stars. We'll get into that on 100% Hockey. Back with you with Millard and Shannon.
Face Off Inside the NHL returns, taking you deeper behind the scenes than ever before. See it all from the star-studded Four Nations Face Off tournament.
Us against the world, boys.
To the adrenaline of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I'm scared of you guys.
With candid interviews and backstage access, experience the sacrifice, the rivalries, and the determination that define NHL greatness.
Just when I thought last year couldn't be topped, here we are.
A new season of Face Off Inside the NHL. Watch now only on Prime Video.
Are you sick of me yet?
It's getting there.
You say that with a straight face too. That's the really humbling part to me.
Well, the listeners are listening with a straight face too. So, that's just understand that those people that are watching or listening to the podcast are going, how does he do it? How does he put up with this stuff?
Hey, how was the BC Hockey Hall of Fame?
It was a great
induction.
a great weekend. And for those who didn't know, that Andrew Ladd, Darryl Ray, Travis Green, Josh Georges, in addition to longtime NHL official Malcolm Ashford, and then a BC junior team for 2 years, the 09 and the 10 Vernon Vipers went into the Hall of Fame. But it was a great weekend. And
that's a heck of a class. That's a great group.
Really good job. Really good group. And good people. And it was a fun couple of days in Penticton to talk and to have a good time. Get Travis Green's mind away from how he's going to do without Brady Tkachuk and the challenges of coaching in the NHL. And Andrew Ladd and Josh Georges were there to put in perspective what a great careers are and how things were done differently to get your job done. Because Georges really is an amazing story. Played over 700 games, wasn't drafted, and ended up being the captain of the Western League Memorial Cup team in Kelowna, and then had a stellar career in San Jose and in Montreal and in Buffalo. And Andrew Ladd, who won a Stanley Cup at the age of 20 with Carolina 20 years ago, and then won another one in Chicago. The other fascination there it is that Kelowna and the Okanagan Valley have really become a haven for active players and their families to live, and retired players. So not only did we talk about the guys that got into the Hall, but Duncan Keith sat in the crowd and watched. Carey Price was there and sat and watched one of his teammates go into the Hall of Fame. And it really does give credence to what the Hall stands for in British Columbia. They've done an amazing job with the actual physical hall and the amount of work that has gone into it. It was a fun time, and the weather was spectacular in the Okanagan.
I'm told one of the best pickup skates happens out there for retired players or guys that have been around the game. Carey Price, big burly defenseman back there. All the guys that hang around there, they get together a couple of times a week and skate.
Well, the other thing that happened over the years, I'm not sure it's happened in the Marty Walsh era of the Players Association, is they have the European visit. They go to Europe because 30% of the players in the NHL come from Europe. So they go have a NHL Players Association meeting with a large group of European players somewhere in Europe, whether it's Stockholm or Prague. But for a little while, Don Fehr was having a meeting in Kelowna for all the retired guys that were living, or all the players, not retired guys, but all the players that were living in the Okanagan in the off season, and by the way, still do. It's a great place to live, and it's a great and it's one of those places where, if you decide to live there, you can actually live there after your playing career is over. And I think that's one of the reasons why people migrate there. Is the weather's great, and it's a place that families can enjoy after retirement and after you got out of the helter-skelter of playing in the NHL.
Yeah, my buddy Zach Whitecloud, newly arrived in Kelowna. He's lived there the last couple of years, getting ready for a big wedding. And we should send congratulations to Doug McLean, our pal.
But Doug McLean's been married
Mackenzie.
for Doug McLean. Oh, I was going to say Doug McLean's been married for more than 40 years.
Yeah, and he's not getting married again.
No.
If Jill ever leaves him at the doorstep, he's not getting married again. But Mackenzie got married again.
How was the social event of Shelton Beach?
It was good. A lot of it down at Crowbush Cove, and it was amazing. The weather was fantastic, and Kenzie had a great time, and Brian's great. So, but seeing Doug emotional, was, people may not know this, but Doug was a little emotional. He can get a little emotional.
Well, we've seen Doug get emotional. We just haven't seen him get personally emotional.
Yes. You're right about that. I should clarify which emotion was on display on the weekend. What do you think the Dallas Stars are feeling?
Hold on. I just want to get deep. Was there lobster on the menu? Because I know lobster season's over, and there's got to be lots of lobster around.
There was no lobster on that menu, but the fishing does start on the south side in a couple of weeks here. So we'll be back in the swing of things. We've had a couple of lobster meals down here. It is great when the boats go back and forth in front of Wits End over here in Shelton Beach.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, and the other guy that was there was Daryl Ray, who is a BC boy and has done such a magnificent job in Dallas as their color commentator, and has really become a folk hero for hockey fans in Texas. What was fascinating is, and I didn't know this until I got there, is, and it's a small world. He actually married a Penticton girl. He was so coming back to the Okanagan. He and his wife were coming back to where the in-laws live, and he met his wife at Andy Moog's annual golf tournament when Andy had a golf tournament. Really? Yeah, it was fascinating to know that the world of hockey is rather small when it comes to what goes on in British Columbia.
Razor gave you any intel on Jason Robertson?
No, he was, he was asking the same questions we were all asking, and I think it's fair to say that Jason Robertson will be a Dallas Star at least next year, don't you?
I don't know. This thing's taken twists and turns and has been bubbling for a couple of years. To say I had a handle on it would be fibbing to you.
Well, it just, it does make you wonder. I mean, does $15 million in Washington State equal $14 million in Dallas? And does giving in to $14 million in Dallas for the Stars, for Tom Gaglardi and Jim Nill, does that mean that it throws their accounting out of whack? When you look at what Mikko Rantanen will make for the next 6 years, what Miro Heiskanen will renegotiate at some point. There is money going to be coming off the books in the next year or two in Dallas, big money coming off the books. But at the same time, what you try to do is you try to have controllables. Look what Montreal has done, Daren, with the controllables of their young players, long-term deals, a lot of them under 9 points.
Yeah, Damodoff, the latest one,
right? But they have their core guys signed long-term, and not one of them makes $10 million. It's phenomenal that they've been able to do that, and try to figure out what to do as new contracts and new opportunities come up. for Montreal, who are obviously in the best shape, I think, of any of the Canadian teams.
Well, you compare what Carlsson just got, and that instantly becomes a comparable. What does that do to Robertson's number?
So let me ask you that question. Yes, that comparable's there. The contract in Minnesota is there with Kaprizov. But then there's Connor McDavid's contract. When do people point at Connor McDavid's contract for the next 2 years?
I don't think it matters as much because
I know people
don't want
it to matter.
The way it was signed.
People don't want it to matter. I would argue that the Connor McDavid contract throws everything out of whack almost as much as anything else.
Okay.
When you think about it, when you can sit there and say, well, I want Leo Carlsson. He's I have better numbers than Leo Carlsson, or I have better numbers than Kirill Kaprizov. But you don't have better numbers than Connor McDavid, and he's only 12.5. And so how do you manage that? And how do you? I mean, that's the classic issue of what's going to have to be decided in the arbitration case if it gets to arbitration. And that's the fascination with what is going on in Dallas. So will you tell me a number for Jason Robertson?
14.5.
And yeah, see, I think 14's the number.
I'll throw out the high of Carlsson and the low of McDavid, and I'll get to 14.5. But the stats, the production of Jason Robertson it can't be ignored. It's elite.
Yeah, it is. What he's done is amazing. He's one of the best snipers in the game. It will be fascinating to be a fly on the wall during the arbitration case. To know what the Stars are going to say that won't justify paying as much money as they think he's worth. Because, as you know, in arbitration cases, you get, there is a chance to get down and dirty and say, well, he doesn't play well defensively. He doesn't do this. Where are the comparables?
If you're not going to get down and dirty, there's no reason to go to arbitration, because that's how you get to your goal.
Well, yeah, no, that's right. So that part later this month is one of those things that's going to be a great conversation to figure out what happens in these scenarios.
Would it not be I would like it to go to arbitration just from my own curiosity point of view to see where that number ended up, instead of us and the hockey world debating the different lengths of the highs and lows of his deal.
And then you have another year to negotiate long term, correct? And on the other side, it allows Jason Robertson to go to unrestricted free agency next summer. So that becomes one of those scenarios that you say, I think both sides could look at it, and particularly the Dallas Stars could look at it and say, we want to take a year to plan this and work this out and have some solid discussions with the Robertson side. Fascination is, and I think we talked about this before, there was a lot of consternation within the Dallas organization on Robertson's last deal, because it did go a lot longer in negotiating than people had expected it to. And Robertson held fast for making the kind of money that he felt he deserved. And eventually the Stars came closer to Robertson's dollar figure than it did the first offer. But it didn't go unnoticed that this young guy and the people who he has around him, including his family, are pretty stubborn and pretty factual on what Jason Robertson brings to the table. The other part of this is you do wonder how much of an effect the Carlsson deal, the offer sheet, the signing, how much will it have an effect on everybody in the game? Is this the one that's going? Because do you like the Kaprizov deal? And I know it's short term, but did the Kaprizov deal have the kind of effect on the game in contracts that you thought it would? Because I think people looked at the $17 million and said, "Whoa, this is crazy. The dam's burst. We got problems." How do we fix it?
That was offset by that McDavid extension. Shortly after, which made it feel like it was more of a one-off than what we're dealing with now.
Okay, so why won't this be considered a one-off? Because there are still going to be scenarios. There are still going to be scenarios where teams with all this so-called more cap space, and a lot of it's been spent anyway because of people getting new deals in the short term. So will this end up being a one-off? That really becomes.
I think the age of the player is different, and the paying for the fact that it came from an offer sheet makes it feel different as well. And you're paying for the future in a lot of sense.
But I think people have been paying for the future.
The Kaprizov numbers, like his production, his performance has been there. Carlsson's hasn't yet, from an individual point of view.
Correct. But I think we have seen more and more in the last 2 or 3 years paying for futures. Don't you? I think guys have been getting pretty good contracts.
There's a difference between those two deals. That's where I strike a line in the sand.
That. I understand that. But look at some of these deals. For instance, the Owen Power's contract coming out of entry level. Owen Power got $8 million coming out of his first deal. Now, it wasn't $18 million, but a lot of the young defensemen in Buffalo got lots of money. A lot of money.
You know what the Leo Carlsson deal reminds me of the Aaron Ekblad extension. Jeff Jackson, now at the Oilers, then an agent, signed, where you wondered, is that even a comparable? It does feel more influential than the Ekblad did at the time, but it was just so shocking at the moment.
I guess how the Ducks got to the $18 million for Carlsson, though, is really the story. It's and in so many ways, as soon as that offer sheet came in, and then and that had been preceded by the Hayden contract or the offer sheet, I could just see the commissioner sitting at his desk in New York saying, "See, the system works. The system works." And so that nobody will complain that there's collusion between the clubs, that these types of occurrences happen. This is now at least 4 in the last 2 seasons that have happened. And are we going to see more? I saw an interesting note, I think it was from Alan Walsh, saying this might be a watershed moment simply because, not because of the money, but because so many people signed extensions last year while they were still playing, didn't take advantage of restricted free agency, didn't take advantage of free agency period. And because hockey players are conservative by nature, wanted the security of staying in and amongst an organization or where their family wanted to be, rather than risk what an off season of free agency would bring and the money that came with it. That's the one issue that I do wonder if, and we're always going to be in cycles, but the next tranche of players that are coming up to the end of their contracts, are they going to be more willing to wait until free agency actually occurs on July 1st? Or are they going to say, no, I like it here, I'm going to sign, but I'm not going to go to open market, and that will affect how much money they make?
So the whole Robertson situation, he goes to arbitration, so he's not eligible for an offer sheet.
Right.
A lot of people were wondering why not make yourself eligible for an offer sheet and play it that way. That guides me to believe that he'll either negotiate a 1-year deal or go to arbitration and settle that, and play it out to be an unrestricted free agent going forward in a year.
I think there's one mess. Yeah, the unrestricted free agency is logical, yes, but I think there's the one key message in all this. He wants to play in Dallas. That's the key message.
Or does he want to get to free agency as fast as possible? With as much.
Yeah, but I think I do think he wants to play for the Stars. I think, and I think that becomes the real factor in all this, is that yes, Jason Robertson wants to get paid and wants to get paid handsomely, but in the end, he wants to pay for the Stars. But this is a scenario that the option will be, okay, here's the Stars' final number, and who knows what it will be after the arbitration? Because remember, the Stars can walk away from the arbitration ruling. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure they won't, but technically they could, and he would become a free agent then. But this gives them that, as we talked about, that year to negotiate a new long-term deal.
The ointment in getting to free agency in a year is McDavid and Matthews could potentially be on the market at the same time. And that puts less money available.
Only as a trade. Because, I mean, Matthews and Connor's new contract started July 1st.
Right. So
Connor's got 2 years. Austin's got 2 years. Zach Werenski's got 2 years. Mm-hmm. So
there's
three
less
guys,
money going to be available for that.
But what's the cap going to be by the time 27 comes around? Is it going to be $130 million? Probably. So there's now again, teams will have spent that, or most of it. Not many people are banking it for a rainy day. They're spending it just to try to stay above water. So that
couple of fascinating situations that I do want to get into. We'll take a break and we'll come back with those from Winnipeg and Columbus next on 100% Hockey.
With the NHL app, you can listen to every NHL game right from your phone. And with home and away broadcast feeds, you choose your way to listen.
And he scores!
Whether you're at work, at the gym, or stuck in traffic, the NHL app puts you right in the action all season long. Every team, every game, everywhere you go. Download the NHL app and never miss a moment.
You brought up Werenski.
Yeah.
That played out very publicly, but they arrived at a solution, which I'm happy for the Columbus Blue Jacket fans.
Yep. I am too. I will be fascinated to see what the reaction of the Blue Jacket fans is to Werenski when he comes on the ice in September, of what will happen. Will he be booed? Will he be cheered? Will there be an ovation? He won the Norris Trophy, Daren, as the best defenseman in the National Hockey League. But will people have soured on him? I think both sides did a very good job. Once it became rather public and ugly, I think both sides did a really good job of trying to mend the fence publicly, so that it looks like Zach is committed to the Blue Jackets for at least this season. But at the same time, Columbus fans aren't leaving potentially in a year or two. Columbus fans are staying and being part of the fan base of a pretty good hockey club. The bottom line in Columbus is, if Rick Bowness and that coaching staff can turn this team into a winner, and that becomes a place where winning occurs, then Zach Werenski probably wants to stay. Because it's all about winning. In the end, it's all about winning. Don't you think?
It certainly helps you, but I don't think that it's the only factor that's at play here. Can you?
What do you mean? What are the other factors?
What's winning to you? Let's get into that. If it's all about winning, what is winning? Because it's different in different places.
Well, I think for a Columbus team that has never been to the third round, I think that's the definition of being and winning in any franchise is consistently winning. You know, you don't have a one-off flash in the pan year and disappear for 3 more. So trying to create a winning environment, you know, that's the huge challenge in Buffalo right now. You know, it's funny how many times did we hear in the last, what's the date today? Anyway, July the 14th. In the last 3 weeks, how many times did we hear that Buffalo's now off everybody's no trade list? We all like playing for, we'd all play in Buffalo. But what if Buffalo shits the bed again? What if they take a step back from what they were last year? You know, then does Buffalo go back on the list? It's all about being consistently winning. And you hear coaches and managers and you hear everyone talk about building a winner for a long period of time, which is difficult in a salary cap league, but trying to be consistent, which is, you know, one of the reasons why what Vegas has done is truly amazing in the 9 years.
See, so that winning is different than getting to a third round. Their goal is to win the Stanley Cup every year.
Well, I do think that's the goal of every team, but I do think you have to walk before you run.
No, I don't think that's the case. I disagree with you on that. Not everybody goes into the season going, we can win the Stanley Cup. Our goal is to win the Stanley Cup. Even teams that are perennial playoff contenders, no, it's going to be difficult to win the Stanley Cup, or that's not their goal. Get a couple of rounds in, and we hope we win the Stanley Cup, but not our goal is to win the Stanley Cup.
I mean, I think I would be naive to think that every team has the same attitude that the Golden Knights have. But I do think that what you want to do is build a winning tradition in a city and work your way through to a Stanley Cup. That's what Carolina did. You know, Carolina worked its way through and learned from their mistakes and learned from losing.
And the stars aligned in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, they did. There's no doubt about it. I think Florida has the same attitude that Vegas does, particularly with that roster right now. They're in a win now mode.
I put Tampa Bay in that same situation.
See, I'm not sure I do anymore. I don't think you can be a team that has lost in the first round of the playoffs for the last 4 seasons to think we're a Stanley Cup or bust team. They're not. They've got a lot of work to do. And I think that's the thing that we're seeing. You know, I mean, Julian Breeze was not afraid to make change. So you see the departure of Nick Paul, a guy who was part of Stanley Cup championships with Tampa. But they've got some work to do there to get back onto that level that Florida and Vegas, and perhaps Edmonton still thinks that they're a Stanley Cup or bust team too, particularly now that Mike Babcock's the coach.
Okay, so Columbus is in a different thought process than those teams, right?
Yeah, no, and that's my point. I mean, my point is that, and so I call it the Milan disease. You know, all these guys come from all these different clubs, and they share stories about attitude and about what it's like to win, and guys left after the gold medal saying, I want to be part of a winner. I want to be part of that. And so that's what prompts a lot of this fervor about getting out of Dodge. And whether it's at the end of your contract or whether it's at some point in your contract that you think you control your own fate, and that's the Dylan Larkin scenario. That's in many ways the Zach Werenski scenario, and obviously Connor Hellebuyck too, of trying to figure out, am I going to really win long term? Am I going to win long term in Winnipeg, or do I have to go south of the border and find a winner and then put things together properly there?
So what happens with Hellebuyck?
Well, I think he's playing in Winnipeg in October, September.
You do? Because there's still a lot of speculation about that.
Sure, but the deal has to be perfect for the Jets too. You know, he's a controlled player with a controllable salary. But you take Connor Hellebuyck off the Winnipeg Jets, what do you have? What do you have, Daren?
Stuart Skinner.
As a team, what are your expectations? How have your expectations changed from Connor Hellebuyck to Stuart Skinner? And that's not a knock at Stuart.
Depends on what you do with
person.
that money and that space.
Right. So, but you have to get
be a three-way deal.
Back.
I see the Hellebuyck deal. It's got to be a three-way deal because you're not getting assets to help you right now from a team that you're trading him to, because they want to win. They want to win right now. So there's got to be some kind of agreement, three-way multi-team deal.
Okay. I don't care about the other two teams. I care about the Winnipeg Jets right now. The Winnipeg Jets have to get enough parts back that they are a more competitive team today than they were yesterday. They have to get valuable players back that can make a difference. They have to. If they don't, this is an abject failure. This is not
I think
trade.
There's a path there that they can do that, but it's going to take like three teams to be able to make it happen. Hellebuyck goes here, player goes there, player goes back to Winnipeg, or two players go back to Winnipeg. Whoever acquires Hellebuyck might have to trade a goaltender somewhere else. That team trades at forward assets, which I think is where Winnipeg is looking at forward assets over to the Jets.
Well, do you think the Jets?
And I think they can be good. Winnipeg can be. There's a path here that Winnipeg can salvage it, if you want to put it that way. Having to move Hellebuyck.
Do you think that? Do you think they need to get a goaltender back?
No, I think that you can play Stuart Skinner and have a backup that either you acquire from another team in a separate trade, or you sign as a free agent. I think that there's an avenue to have Stuart Skinner as your goaltender. Is he going to be as good as Hellebuyck? No, but
no.
Are you better in other areas to offset some of that?
By the way, I think they're better on defense today than they were last season with the signing of Mario Ferreira. I think he's a really good player, and will be a solid addition to the Jets' blue line. But at the same time, I do think they need a goaltender back. I think we need to see a point where the Jets are 41 Skinner, 41 somebody else. The 1A, 1B scenario.
So you don't think Stuart Skinner can be your number one guy? There is inconsistency there that we've witnessed.
I think
you're going to have to ride out some flat spots with Stuart Skinner.
I think Stuart Skinner still has the flaws he had in Edmonton and that they saw in Pittsburgh that they didn't even consider re-signing him.
Now Pittsburgh's got some goaltending depth. I think that played a lot into it.
Yeah, but if Stuart Skinner had been lights out for the Penguins, Stuart Skinner would be a Penguin still.
Fair.
And
I think we might be missing
that perspective.
The story of the summer that could still be on the horizon. The next step, and I'll explain that to you next on 100% Hockey.
Face Off Inside the NHL returns, taking you deeper behind the scenes than ever before. See it all from the star-studded Four Nations Face Off tournament
Us against the world, boys.
to the adrenaline of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I'm scared of you guys.
With candid interviews and backstage access, experience the sacrifice, the rivalries, and the determination that define NHL greatness.
Just when I thought last year couldn't be topped, here we are.
A new season of Face Off Inside the NHL. Watch now only on Prime Video.
Offer sheets, some big movement. We've got arbitration coming with some huge impact, but there's still a story to play out here that I think has some serious teeth to it. Think Elias Pettersson stays in Vancouver, or do you think they're going to be able to move him? Is his value right now as a player as high as it's going to be in this contract? Is now the time to move him?
Well, I'll answer your question by asking you one. Is Elias Pettersson more valuable for his hockey talent or his cap space?
Cap space.
Cap space.
Yeah, cap space.
To get $11.5 million back somehow, some way. Somebody
for a 15 goal scorer, like or a 50-point guy, 55-point guy, like you can't be paying that.
No,
when your purse strings are tight in a rebuild.
Well, I don't think the purse strings are tight in Vancouver. Let's be honest. I don't think they're tight in Vancouver, but I do think that. It would be beneficial for both sides that that Pettersson doesn't play in Vancouver. The question becomes: is there a team out there? And this is all hypothetical. Is there a team out there that he fits into that he can be given the rope to be offensively talented, that he can have a positive attitude? And he can get back to something close to what we saw in those first 2 or 3 years when he was in the NHL. Or maybe those first 2 or 3 years were outlier years, and this is the guy. I don't believe that. I mean, we saw enough talent out of him in that period of time to know that he's really, really got some great offensive skills. And, by the way, he was in the top 5 of shot blocks of forwards in the NHL last year. He does have some defensive skill. He can be a pretty good two-way forward.
That's where you're going with the compliments to and buildup of Elias Pettersson. You're going shot blocks?
I am trying to sell the car, okay? We're on the car lot. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, the convertible, the roof is broken. But man, oh man, it's always sunny. And so you don't have to worry about the roof.
And the signal lights work. The turn signals work great.
Well, no, stick your hand out, okay? Just remember, hand straight out is right, hand bent down is, or hand straight out is left, hand bent down is right. That's the key. That's what you got to remember that stuff.
I know, I use it all the time from the old bike rodeo days. It reminds me of the story about the guy in PEI got pulled over because he didn't signal pulling into his driveway. And the cop says, "You didn't use your turn signal." He said, "Why would I do that? Everybody knows where I live."
That sounds like Doug McLean. That sounds like Doug McLean.
I'm going to put on my new hat.
What's that?
Sanforth Putters. My buddy Ben Roberts and Drew Summers and Mikey Francis started this putter company out of Nova Scotia. And just a small company, and I used them the other day, and they are outstanding. So go get them, Drew, Ben, Mike, Sanforth Putters, SANFIRTH.
So there are 2 questions.
Yes.
Did it help you? Did it help your game?
It did. I don't have mine yet. That's still coming. They sold out of their first batch right away. I don't have mine yet, and I didn't get a free one. I don't want anybody to think that I get a free one here, but I do have some merchandise that I wanted to wear on the podcast.
And the second question is, where's mine?
It's got to be coming too, right? If you're going to leave this in the podcast, it's got to be coming.
Yeah, it might be on the cutting room floor before the end of the day. You never know. Hey, by the way, as we record this, the NHL will announce home openers on the 15th, and then the schedule's out the 16th.
Yeah.
The NHL schedule is coming back at you.
And the schedule release has become a big thing for teams, influenced by the National Football League and how they do it. But teams put a lot of effort, production, and emphasis on putting out their schedules, and it's become a fun day in the calendar for the member clubs.
Well, and that's because there's no other news right now. Let's be honest.
It gets everybody excited. It helps you move some season tickets. Hey, this team's going to be here then. That road trip's there. Gets you in the conversation again.
So you're all excited about the schedule?
I do. I love the schedule they going through. When is Montreal going to be in Vegas? That's always a fun date. When are the Edmonton Oilers going to be in town with that rivalry? Always, I think it's a really cool day. Any quirks to the schedule? Are we going to have like a two game stay in Dallas or something like that?
I hate that.
We do know the date of the Stadium Series. Vegas is at Jerry's house coming up next season, so that's already determined. But there's other aspects to it that are fun for every team.
And Utah's hosting the Winter Classic.
Yeah,
and Winnipeg is hosting the Heritage Classic in October. Mm-hmm. So,
with an alumni game that's going to feature more alumni from Jets 2.0 than the first version of the Jets.
Everybody's all excited about seeing Dustin Byfuglien.
Yeah. You know, the alumni game back in the first Heritage Classic in Winnipeg, that was more anticipated, higher ticket prices in the secondary market than the game.
Well, when you have Howard Chuck versus Gretzky, that's a pretty good billboard to put out there to say that's who's here, and more people would be excited to see Wayne. So, it's Montreal this year in Winnipeg, not Edmonton. So,
maybe Josh Georges can get out there. He'll be part of that pickup skate in Kelowna, getting the skills back in order.
Josh Georges looked pretty good. He looked in shape. All those guys looked in shape. Well, Darryl Ray he's a broadcaster now. He looked like
he's let himself go.
He's in broadcast.
Let himself go. Good seeing you, my friend.
Well, we'll see you Thursday.
All right.
Because in the summertime, I'm not going to force you to work 3 days a week. So
yeah, and two might be pushing it.
Well, no, we're going to
some
get
things
guests
going on.
We got guests going, so we'll have guests. Don't worry, okay. We'll be fun. You know, I hate to get in the way of life. That you have.
I know.
But people need their fix.
Hockey with Millard and Shannon from Shelton Beach and downtown Toronto.
That was awful. You didn't think that out at all.
Where are you?
I'm in lovely
downtown Toronto.
No, I'm in the suburbs.